No, 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 Hello and welcome back to Ye Olde Kingdom of No Bullshit. Today we've got another Game of Thrones video for you guys. I know the last one was a little controversial, but it still did well enough. Funny how I've covered racism, police, Islam, and all kinds of other touchy subjects this week, but my most controversial video was the one about Ed Sheeran's cameo in Game of Thrones. Apparently people either don't know who Ed Sheeran was, or they were offended that I suggest he wasn't that famous. Basically his fans loved his cameo and can't believe many people haven't heard of Sheeran, while others hated it and honestly had never heard of him. It's pretty hilarious if you go back and read the comments. But I digress. On to today's topic, something else I don't think anyone is talking about regarding Game of Thrones. The show appears to be going full feminist and slightly SJW. A girl power sort of theme this season is undeniable, and while originally that was the focus of Daenerys' character alone, now it seems like 90% of Westeros is being run by women. But the feminist plotting doesn't end there. Not only are all the women in Game of Thrones overpowered, but most of the men are handicapped in one way or another, usually by quite literally having their dicks cut off, or sometimes just the balls or a hand. Let me explain fully, but first, mild spoilers ahead. I'm going to be going over the characters of last night's episode and how they fit into this two-pronged Game of Thrones as feminist theory. I'll try to avoid plot points as much as I can, so I think a casual fan or even an outsider can understand what I'm talking about. But just remember, this is just a theory I've been working on a little bit, and it doesn't mean I'm hating on the show. I'm just identifying some trends. Let's start with the war room scene from last night's episode called Stormborn.
We have an army, a fleet, and 3 dragons. We should hit King's Landing now.
This war room scene is the perfect encapsulation of what I'm talking about. At about 20 minutes into the episode, Daenerys is meeting with her allies to talk about their plan to take over Westeros. If you look at this frame right here, you can see the whole cast of that scene. 9 characters, 4 men, and 5 women. Almost even, but the dynamics are much more in favor of the women. 4 of these girls are leaders of their respective kingdoms, including Daenerys, of course, who is the supreme leader, and the wannabe queen of all of Westeros. And if that doesn't make you think that women are overpowered here, just consider the fact that Daenerys is basically an invisible superwoman who has survived fires and all kinds of crazy shit.
If we turn the dragons loose, tens of thousands will die in the firestorms.
It's called war. You don't have the stomach for it. Scurry back into hiding.
I know how you wage war. We don't poison little girls here.
Now for the men of that scene, who are all 4 not only servants in this group, but they're also all handicapped, or depowered in comic book terms. 3 of the guys are fucking eunuchs, for Christ's sake. That means their dicks, or at least their balls, were cut off, for those of you catching up. The only guy here who doesn't have mutilated genitals is Tyrion, right there in the middle, who, while physically intact, and a formidable opponent intellectually, he is still handicapped by being a dwarf, of course, which would be offensive to call a handicap in the real world being politically correct and all, but in Game of Thrones they rip on him for being a dwarf all the time, and his diminished physical stature is still an undebatable weakness. But the feminism doesn't end there. Overpowering women and handicapping men wasn't enough here. At the end of the scene, the older woman even goes so far as to tell Daenerys to not even listen to men at all. Check this out.
He's a clever man, your hand. I've known a great many clever men. I've outlived them all. You know why? I ignored them. The lords of Westeros are sheep. Are you a sheep? No. You're a dragon. Be a dragon.
So yeah, there's also that. Not to say a pro-woman message is bad or anything, but I just think Game of Thrones may be pushing this a little too hard and too far. And before you go commenting something like, oh, that's not what the writers were going for, well, take a look at this clip of the writers talking about this scene in a recap.
I don't think there are that many situations in film or television where you see 4 women sitting around a table discussing power and strategy and war. We didn't really plan it that way, but once it landed on that, we knew that these things had to be discussed. We knew the plan to take Casterly Rock had to be put out there.
So while they didn't plan it to be this way specifically, this war room scene is a result of the writers' past decisions to constantly empower women over men over and over again. And you can really tell how delighted they are to have written out all the male leaders. This guy sounds like it gives him a little beta feminist boner or something.
I think it's a scene that, had it been the exact same information situation being put forward by a bunch of old grizzled guys with gray beards, it would have been a lot less interesting. To have it be Amelia at one end of the table and Diana at the other end of the table, to me, that just is such a breath of fresh air.
And you can hear his negative take on men here. Old, grizzly, gray-bearded men are just the worst, right? Even though those are the kinds of men who plan and execute real wars, but man, fuck them. Fuck men. Let's get some hot chicks, a lesbian, and an old maid to direct our war room because, hey, feminism, yay! But the feminism doesn't just end with this war room scene. There are plenty of more examples in this two-pronged approach. Take the current queen regent of the Seven Kingdoms, Cersei, for example, the first woman to rule all of Westeros, at least recently and on this show. And look who is serving by her side. 2 handicapped men, who while probably still have their dicks, they are both lacking something. The mountain on the left, while strong and brutal in battle, appears to be a sort of zombie-like, brainless man after coming back to life or whatever happened to him. And then there's Jaime Lannister on the right, who lost his hand a few seasons back. Definitely not as bad as losing his balls, but it's almost like the writers were thinking, hey, we gotta take this good-looking white dude down a peg some way. Let's cut his hand off.
Do you fight with us, or with foreign savages and eunuchs?
And lastly, let's look at the Kingdom of the North, now led by the new King of the North, Jon Snow, who appears to not only be the sole male leader, but he's also almost not handicapped. Almost. There is one little thing. He is a bastard, and while he still has the royal blood of Ned Stark in him, many look down on bastards and some even insult Jon Snow to his face about it. Not to mention Jon's got Sansa Stark, his sister, breathing down his neck and questioning every move he makes this season. Hell, she was even put in charge of the North as Jon left at the end of the episode. It looks like the last male leader may be out of power soon too. Side note, there's also Lyanna Mormont, who is the female leader of Bear Island. A smaller point, but still worth mentioning.
Euron.
Finally, I will give credit where credit is due. There is one strong male leader who I think steals the show this episode. Euron Greyjoy proves to be a total badass. When he boards the other Greyjoy's ship at the ending battle scene, he storms their vessel with his battle axe like a fucking boss. He's been shown to be cocky and confident in the past, so it's nice to see he has the fighting skills to back that up. So I will give the writers credit here for actually having at least one kick-ass, unhandicapped male leader. But he's a diamond in the feminist rough, to say the least. What do you guys think? Is Game of Thrones going full feminist? Why are all the women OP while all the dudes are dickless or handicapped in some other way? Comment below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time. And don't forget, this show is funded and supported by viewers like you. Like, comment, and subscribe for new videos every week. Hit that bell button below to get email notifications of our new uploads. We also have merchandise such as shirts, sweaters, stickers, and coffee mugs in our Teespring store. Join our Patreon to support monthly for as low as $1. You can get bonus videos and all kinds of cool stuff. There's also Amazon affiliate links and all of our other links in the description below. Thanks again for watching and support. One more thing, I want to give a special thanks to these amazing Patreon supporters. You guys are the best. You guys went above and beyond the rest, and I love you so much for it. If anyone else wants to donate or join our Patreon crew, link in the description. We're going to be setting up more videos and live streams very soon. Thanks again.
Give your uncle a kiss.
We're here in Exuma. Tropical water.
Oh my god. This is the first time.
beer and stuff here? Yeah.
Just clear it up.